Hello everyone and welcome to Woopercast. This is episode 20, the big 2-0. 20 whole episodes, which is pretty amazing. Thank you so much to everyone who's been listening so far. It's a nice mini milestone to hit, so I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, this is episode 20 for September the 22nd, 2016. It's a lot of 20s. As always, I'm your host, Joe Yates. We got information! TPC High have started telling people about tournaments that are happening and about CP structure and things like that. They finally started giving us things to work with and actual tangible events to invest our money into, which is in their best interest because it is our money and it's going to them. So finally, we know what we're working with. We know how the season is going to be broken up. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. It's partly going to be about CP structure, but I also just want to address the three main European tournaments that have just been announced and how excited I am for them, and sort of the differences between all three of them, because some interesting things that I'm not sure a lot of people will have picked up on, but I'm going to detail all those things in this cast. So, to kick things off, let's talk about what tournaments have been announced so far. So, coming up on the 5th of November, we have Liverpool Regionals, and coming up on the 20th of November, there's Dortmund Regionals over in Germany. And then in, I think it's like the first week in December, is the London International European Challenge. It's a mouthful to say, and it's probably going to be the biggest tournament Europe has ever hosted. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first one's going to be Liverpool Regionals. By the way, expect to see me at Liverpool. I'm definitely going to be at that one. To give an indication of how close I am to that one, the flight is like 20 minutes long, so it's not that big of a deal. It's still paying for accommodations and stuff like that. We're all good. So Liverpool is definitely going to be one I'm showing up at. It's going to be the first regionals of the year that I believe is in the standard format, because I know Orlando Regionals is on very soon over in America, mid-October I believe that is. I'm not sure if that's standard or expanded. I think that's expanded. Someone correct me if I got that wrong, but I think that is expanded. So if that is correct, and this is going to be the first and last tournament actually, with the set being Primal Clash to Steam Siege. Yeah, because for Dortmund, that is happening the weekend after Evolutions becomes legal, which is really weird to think about because we've been kind of planning ourselves, we've been testing Primal Clash to Steam Siege so much, and this is really it. Like, this is the only tournament where it's going to be, majorly relevant, which is kind of funny to think about. There's a few other things you want to think about for Liverpool. Karen's going to be legal. Mew EX is going to be legal. These are two cards that are both very playable, and the players have been talking about for ages. So if you're planning on going to this tournament and doing well, I think there are definitely things you need to test out for yourself, because they're playable, and even if you don't tend to play them yourself, you're going to have to play against them at some point, probably. So you may as well work with them. See how brave you're feeling. If you really want to bring Vestwick into that tournament, that's going to be a pretty risky call. I know, spoiler alert, I probably won't, okay? As much as I love my B, I'm probably not going to play it at Liverpool just because of the whole Karen thing. It's going to be a bit shaky. But yeah, the other thing about these cards being illegal is that, does it change the format much, and how does it affect how you test? One thing about Karen that I want to point out, just to ramble off a bit, I've expressed how kind of frustrated I am at TPCI or Pokemon and how they handled the release of Karen. Like, yeah, I think it's a fine card. The effect that it does, it's grand. We can have it in the format. I don't mind it, as much as it does kill things like Night March, or potentially kill things like Night March and Vespiquen. But it's released in those boxes that cost quite a lot of money. It's like €40 or $40 or whatever your regional equivalent is, which is a decent amount of commitment that you have to make for that. And my issue with that is, okay, cool, you can go to eBay and buy the card online, which I highly advise all of you do. I have done it myself. Like, it's probably only going to rise unless it gets printed elsewhere, so head on to eBay if you just want the card. But to play it on the Pokemon trading card game online, this is a little bit different. Because apparently, the code that you claim from those Battle Arena decks, the card is locked, which means you can't actually trade it. Which means if you want a Karen on PTCGO, you have to buy the actual box itself for that money. And that's like dropping €40, at least for a player in my position who's been playing for a decent length of time now. You're looking at dropping 40, a decent amount of money on a set that includes, like, a ton of cards you already own, plus these two Karen that you want. And I don't want to spend that kind of money on what I would just use as trade fodder. You know, it's kind of frustrating from that angle. You can go to eBay and buy the codes there, I guess. Maybe they'll release the products and you can buy it on PTCGO and you can buy them for coins. I'm not sure how they intend to handle this, but it's been quite messy so far in their release of Karen, and it's been really annoying because I would have rathered it was just sort of, even if it came as like one of the blister pack promos like Jirachi did, that would be fine. I don't think anyone would have an issue with that because eventually everyone did get Jirachi in the end. It did spread quite, you know, it took a little time, but it spread a little easier than this is going to spread. So those are my thoughts on Karen. As for MuEX, that's fine. There's like so many different versions of MuEX that if you want one, you could have bought one months, even years ago. There's plenty of them out there. So don't feel obliged to drop like the ridiculous amount of money it is for that massive box. If anyone has bought that like gigantic product that they brought out, I can't even remember the name of it. It was the one that came with the MuEX and Mewtwo promos. If anyone has bought it, let me know how it's like, because I've heard it's a lot of money, but well worth it, you know? Apparently it's just huge. So anyway, do I think these cards change the format too much? Not too much. I mean, Karen's going to give like a little bit of a boost to Rayquaza. That's what we expect. It's going to probably make people more apprehensive, myself included, about playing Vespiquen. Other than that, I don't think it's hugely influential. And I think MuEX, as much as people see it as a counter to Mewtwo, I think it can be played around by Mewtwo, especially if a lot of them are playing Garbodor. And even then, the ones that are playing Hex Maniac will be able to deal with it, no problem still. Which all Mewtwo's really should be. If you're not playing Garbodor, 2 Hex Maniac is fine. I don't know, I can't see it being a super... I can see it definitely helping out. I can't see it putting people off playing Mewtwo, though. Anyway, this is all discussion that I want to get into later, because of course I am attending this myself. And the great thing about this is because I want to bring you guys like tournament reports, I want to bring you guys previews of stuff like that, and big format discussions, and all the stuff that I can do during the big busy parts of the season. So that's what I'm looking forward to out of Liverpool Regionals, partly. And hey, you know, hopefully I'll win and I'll have a really good tournament report for you guys. That's the aim anyway. That's the big aim. The other thing about this is that the registration fees have been announced for it. It's €35 to compete. That's a lot of money. It might even be £35. I think it's just €35, but that is a lot of money. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was free to play at Nats last year. Like, that's crazy. And now look, this is to balance out the fact that the prizes are insane compared to what they were before. This is probably going to be very, like, it's going to get a lot of attendance. We went to London Regionals last year and that was like 100 people or something, and I think most UK Regionals ended up with like around 100 people. Liverpool's probably going to get more than that. Probably, I would like to say 200, pushing a bit more. A, because it's the first regional of the season. And B, because there are rumors going around that we're only going to have something like 8 regionals across the whole continent over the entire season. So people will be wanting to maximize the ones that they can get to. So I would like to think that this would have quite a big attendance at it. Which means the prize money, as Pokemon have already stated, they want €50,000 or 50,000 of some currency. It might be $50,000, I'm not sure. That are going to be given out as prize money. I actually have it open here because I wanted to talk about part of the wording that they had on their website about this prize money. Where are we now? International Championship Awards. Where is Regional Championships? Here we go. Okay. So, before they said all regional championships would have 50 grand in prize money. Now it's saying, and I'm going to read this directly from their website, regional championships may offer up to 50,000 in prize money, scholarships, and travel awards based on attendance. So the thing is, it's not guaranteed going to be 50 grand that they just drop into the tournament for prize money. It's going to be based on the amount of people who show up there, and it's not... I mean, you're still going to win cash by winning this tournament, and that's still great, and we're still all happy for that. And if you're a really good player, you're going to make your money back that you spent on getting there in the first place. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a bit of like a... Like they're backtracking on what they said initially about them just dropping 50 grand on each regionals. But look, it's still a huge step up from what we had last season, so I won't complain too much. Anyway, back onto the €35 registration fee. The interesting thing about this is it's not just for paying that price. I believe we get playmats and like stuff like that just for attending. Although I believe we were also told that we would get playmats just for attending Nats, and then we didn't. It was only for top 16. But I'm not quite sure about this. I haven't heard any confirmation on Pokemon's end about this one, so I don't want to, I don't want to hold my breath for it, but that would pay for at least 20 quid of the registration fee is how I figure it. I think the annoying thing about it, though, is that I can't really do anything about it. It's like, I can show up to an event and just pay it. Like, I think the most I paid into an event last year was like a tenner. And I got given packs, like 2 packs as like a welcoming gift. And it was like, well, you know what, that's like €8 of that €10 I just paid, so I technically only paid €2. It was, it didn't really matter. This is a huge step up from that. But I'm still going to pay it. Everyone is still going to pay it. That's the thing, and they know this. And like I've said before, Pokemon are a company, and they want to make money, and they know how to make money. They're going to up this, and people are still going to pay it. It's not, it sucks. Everyone's going to hate it. But I'm still going to give them my money at the end of the day, so it's a little hypocritical, I guess, but what can you really do about it? You still want to play in the tournament. And yes, of course, the potential is there just to earn your money back. I believe if you make, I don't know, we don't know the exact way that the prizes will be, or the way the money will be divvied up between the players and between where they finish. So I'm not sure exactly where you would need to place in order to make at least the entrance fee back. But time will tell that in the future. So those are my thoughts on the Liverpool Regionals. It's still going to be a fun event. Nats was great. The venue was great. It was run a little bit later than it probably should have been. But look, overall, it was a grand time. Dortmund is on after this. And Dortmund is super interesting because it is literally the day after Evolutions becomes legal. This is one everyone's going to want to keep an eye out for. Personally, I'm not sure if I can attend this one. Money is a thing. I don't know if I can travel to Germany at such short notice. I'll have to see nearer the time, to be honest. But Evolutions really does change how people are going to approach this one. Does it change the meta that much? I think when the Japanese set gets revealed, a lot of players always look at it and go, this set's terrible. And then it comes out in English and they're like, it's set's great. It happens quite a lot. And even as I said in my little mini preview of the set last week, I believe it was, I did that. There didn't look like off the bat that there was a huge amount of cards that I was excited for, or cards that I thought were going to completely change the way we played this game. But that's fine. I mean, like Legendary Treasures, when that came out, that was at the end of a game's life cycle. And when that came out, it felt like all the cards that got reprinted in it were already like in the format anyway, so it wasn't hugely significant, at least not that I remember. I think this is kind of a similar thing, but, instead of being reprints of the best cards from this generation, thank God it's not a reprint of the best cards from this generation. I love Night March as much as the next guy, but I don't want a format of Night March and Toad all over again, and Trevenant can stay the hell away from Standard. But, I don't know, it's more kind of, it feels a bit simpler than the other sets, it feels a bit more straightforward. But there are still 1 or 2 cards in here which will change things and which will definitely see play. First one, Mega Rayquaza and Gardevoir get huge boosts. So Ray will have Karen by now, of course, as I said, from Liverpool, but it'll also have Dragonite EX. Everyone's hyped for this card. This card looks great. If you don't know what it does, you bench it, you take 2 Pokemon from your discard pile, and you put them in your hand. This is so good for Gardevoir, so good for Mega Rayquaza, and yeah, no question, this card improves those decks, like, without a shadow of a doubt, unless, like, everyone else starts playing Silent Lab and, like, 4 copies of it, and then maybe a Ninetales on top of that. But, I don't know. Yeah, no, like, Dragonite's just such a good card. It's obviously going to see play in these decks. Gardevoir's an interesting one as well, because it gets a Rattata. It sort of gets and loses Rattata. Like, I don't know, if anyone watched my Gardevoir deck analysis that I did, and how that deck revolved around having specific tools attached to it, you're now really hurt by actually people playing Rattata and removing them from you. In a way, Megas kind of get a little bit better with the Rat, because if people start playing Klefki, and if Klefki gets really big, the Rat comes in, and you play the Rat, and Klefki goes away, and you can attack again, and that all of a sudden becomes much better. Things like Bursting Balloon, that are currently seeing play, might drop off a little bit. I'm not going to say that Rattata is going to be a staple. I'm just going to say that it's going to see a lot of play, and it's certainly going to, I don't know, make people think differently, or make people less reliant on the tools that they are using. Also, Volcanion, which I think is currently one of the best decks in format, an extremely strong deck, maybe takes a little bit of a hit from the Rat. The reason I'm thinking this is if Rayquaza is getting that much more hype, Rayquaza is one of the few decks that can kill Volcanion anyway. So if Rayquaza, and Volcanion can't really play Parallel City to deal with it because it hurts Volcanion too. So if Rayquaza kind of comes back into the format a bit with Dragonite coming out and with Karen coming out and stuff like that. Also Brock's Guts, which is just fantastic for Gardevoir as well, like I was saying. But no, if Rayquaza kind of comes back and sort of asserts itself as a much better deck that's able to deal with Volcanion, that'll drop off. On top of that, one of the really annoying things about Volcanion is how well it can use Fighting Fury Belt. It's one thing trying to kill a Volcanion, but trying to kill a 220 HP Volcanion that's doing 140 every turn, plus like however many of them happen to be on the board at once, that's a whole different story. And I think the Rat trying to take away the Fury Belts is probably going to hurt the deck a little bit, since that's a deck that can't really tech for abilities. Like, you can't play Garbodor in that, you can't play Silent Lab in Volcanion, obviously. So I think that's the deck that I can see being hurt by Rattata the most. Anyway, those are my thoughts on how that's going to change going into Germany. I would love to go to Germany though. I've heard the stadium this is at is actually like right next to the stadium where Borussia Dortmund play, which I think is really cool. So it would certainly be a really nice trip if I could make it. So I'm going to hold out for that one. The big one though, coming in December, the London International European Challenge thingy. I'm not even sure if that's the right name for it, but like, it's a really long name and has international and European written in it somewhere. Actually, sorry, I didn't even mention this. The points for regionals are something I do want to talk about. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave points to the end of this one. That's something I want to discuss, like, in general. I want to talk a little bit more about points than I want to talk about the points for this one specific event. So I'm going to talk about them just after I finish talking about London. But going into London, this is going to be huge. This is probably going to be the biggest event that Europe ever hosts, or has ever hosted at least. Because it's open, not just to European players, but it's open to everyone. You can come over from America to play this if you want. You can come from wherever you happen to be in the world to play in this. And people are going to do that. The other thing about it, because A, the prize money is just, like, it's in the 6-digit mark. So, you know it's big. And again, they're saying up to 250,000 per event based on attendance, but we can assume even if it isn't the full 250,000, we can assume it's still going to be a very, very large number. It's also going to be set over 3 entire days, which is quite a lot. And just to get the dates right, it is December 9th, 10th, and 11th. So there you go. Yeah, so this thing's just going to be crazy big. I've heard, though, the day one is going to be expanded. And I don't like this at all. I know this is like just personal thing. I'm so glad I don't live in America. But just from a personal standpoint, I really, really hate expanded. Really not a format I like playing in. Just because, especially with Karen around me, like I normally, whenever I'm going to something expanded, I'm like, right, I know Vespiquen, I'll just play that. Or I know Night March, I'll just play that. But I can't now because Karen. So, man, I'm going to have to get good, as they say. Which sucks, but what can you do? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they are doing the day one expanded. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed yet. It's just a rumor I've heard going around. We will have to wait and see for ourselves. I'd rather just see Pokemon themselves confirm something like that on their end. The other thing is, I want to, on the note of London, 3-day event. God knows how big that attendance is going to be. But super hyped for it, and yes, obviously I'm going to it. You kind of have to go to this. I think if you're a competitive player, you have to go to at least one of these international challenges and try to earn the money and the points that are on the line. And the other thing about this, quick shout out to all the VGC players, because I feel for you guys so bad. The format for London is going to be Sun and Moon, and Sun and Moon comes out something like 2 weeks before it. Pokebank is not going to be available either. This means that to play in London, you need to have beaten Sun and Moon and properly made a team like that's good in the metagame, and you have all of, like, you've IV bred and EV trained all of your Pokemon. Like, you have to do all of that in a 2-week period, and on top of that, then practice with the damn team. Guys, I feel for you. If any of you do play VGC occasionally and you're listening or have played VGC before, you'll know how much trouble that's going to be. And you can't even get a head start on it. You just have to wait for the game to come out. So, or R.I.P. you guys. Can't wait to see somebody win with like an in-game team. Yeah, it's going to be kind of awful. So that's basically the wrap-up of the tournaments we've got coming up. Also, the other big tournament is the League Challenge in Dublin on Sunday. That's just as prestigious as all these. But in all seriousness, just in case anyone is from Dublin and listening to this and you don't know about this, I'm going to leave the link in the description below because we want to get a huge attendance to these things as much as we can. So, come by. It'll be fun. Say hi. Anyway, the other thing that we need to talk about these events, how do the points work? Because last season, we knew it. We know how the points work for regionals and stuff. It was 100 for a regionals win. That works. The big change that they've made to the points. First of all, instead of needing 300 points to qualify for Worlds, you need 500. 500. That's so much. And they've increased the amount of points you earn per event, but I think it still works out that less people are going to qualify for Worlds. So, like, it's 500 points for the International Championships. If you win, 500. No question, it's great. If you come second, you get 400. Third and fourth, 300. Fifth to eighth, 200. These are all based on kickers, which I'm sure will be met. Like, I think in general, you'd be looking at, you'd need top 64 to make even 60 points at an event that could have 500 people at it, which is kind of insane. But yeah, that's how it works out. So if you win, you just get your invite right off the bat. This is all, of course, on top of travel stipends and stuff like that you can earn at these events as well. And they do have the prize payout here as well, so I can read that one out now. With 227 plus players, which I'm assuming like all of these will get, or at least the American, Latin American, and European one will get. I'm not super familiar with scenes outside of that kind of jurisdiction, so just for those ones, I assume they'll all get over 227, which means if you come 64th, you get $500. So hey, that's pretty cool. It's $1,000 for coming first, which is, it's $10,000 coming first. $10,000. Damn. The weird thing that has been is kind of strange about this one is that 17th will get you 750 and 64th will get you 500. I guess that's just the way the math works out. Either way, that'll pay you back for your trip and double it. At least in my case, it will. And if you're traveling, I doubt anyone's spending more than that to actually get to the event in the first place. So it does reward players for being good at it now. And that's kind of what we've always wanted to see, isn't it? I mean, the prize payouts are looking fantastically better than they were before. And that's even just if you make top 64. So I'm getting top 64 at a ridiculously difficult tournament, but still, the fact is that it's there, and that's what I'm happy about. And I'm happy to see the Pokemon are finally rewarding players monetarily for being good, because it takes a lot to invest in this game, a lot of time and a lot of money. So it's nice to see that we're sort of being able to earn that back. Anyway, the regional points payouts. So last year they earned 100, or was it 150 or 100 for a regionals win? I believe it was just 100. This year it's 200. So you've essentially doubled, but the regionals are going to have more of a bigger attendance this year because there's less of them, because the prize money is bigger, which kind of changes the dynamic a bit, because it means you earn more points for winning, but it's also probably significantly harder to actually win in the first place. So 200 points for a win, 160 for second place, 120 for top 4. And it looks like you can earn points all the way down to 256 as long as there's 1,000 people, but we're certainly not going to get 1,000 people over for Liverpool. I'm pretty sure of that much, at least. You're looking at, then again, top 64 really is what you want to be hitting. And even then, you're only earning 24 points, which is not that huge amount, but that's fair enough, I suppose. Basically, making top 8 or regionals will net you a decent amount of points and probably put you well on the way to getting to the World Championships, which isn't too bad. On top of this, it does say registrants, that is not a nice word to say, will receive exclusive regional items. So it's not directly saying that we're getting playmats for our massive entry fee, but it's saying that we might get playmats for our massive entry fee. So yeah, I'll just sort of wait for that to be more confirmed by them, or I'll just sort of show up on the day and see. Because hey, either way, I'm going to pay the money, like I said, so it doesn't really affect me that much. And it looks like first or second place will get scholarships or cash, like just cash. And basically anything down below that earns prize money will just get cash. So you can only get it as a scholarship sort of bond if you come in the top 2. I think that's fine. I'm not sure how people would prefer to take it. I know I personally probably just prefer the cash, to be completely honest with you. But I'm sure most people would too. So I don't think that's a huge issue to any people. And here we go. Here we are. The awards. So, if you have around 226 over 129 players, which I assume almost all of these regionals will be getting, $2,500. Holy cow. Oh God, man. I'm trying to think of if you won a regionals last year, you probably got a booster box and that was it. Can you, the sheer upgrade from that is just crazy. Okay, let's just read the small print, subject to change, up to this, based on attendance, blah, blah, blah. But this is what they have listed on their website, and even if it was halved, this would still be crazy. 2,500 for coming first. It also then allows, second place gets 1,500 in top, and wow, it's a big drop then to third and fourth, which is 250. And looking at it here, it's actually kind of weird the way this works out. So if I just expand this a bit, yeah. So people have been complaining that top 4 aren't as rewarded as top 16, and I would agree with that. It says here, if there's 500 players, top 4 earns the same amount as top 16, still 250, despite the fact that second place will get you 1,000. I know for a fact 250 probably just about cover my travel to the tournament. So let's hope for first place. That's what the aim is, to make this money back. Booster packs and stuff like that is still prize money, but I think the money is certainly more in demand than the actual packs and stuff like that are. The point I'm trying to make, though, in a very long-winded way, is that it's now a hell of a lot more difficult to qualify for the World Championships. But is that okay? Are we okay with only the very best players and only the players who can dedicate themselves wholly and live and breathe this game to qualify for the World Championships? I mean, yeah, I am. From a player's perspective, if you really care about the integrity of the game, which I'm sure everybody does, you want the best players to be rewarded. And you want the skill gap to constantly be raising. You want the game to constantly be being upped and for new players to be emerging and working their way up that ladder. And really, you want the best players to be rewarded. Pokemon have started rewarding that, but they've also started enforcing it. We've also now reached a point where if you do want to qualify for the World Championships, you have to be good. Not just good, but great. Really, really good. I mean, you had to be good anyway, and it was still kind of prestigious, and it was still a great achievement to qualify for the Worlds. I won't take that away from anyone. But now it's changed completely. It's still a whole other ballgame now. You're looking at a whole other tournament, a whole other kind of structure that forces you to really push yourself to get even more points in even more difficult tournaments. You want to be looking at a really, really high finish in, if not you'd want to be winning at least one major tournament to be qualifying for this, or coming second at a couple of major tournaments. That's not easy to do, and you need to prove yourself as a player who is... My amazing speech was interrupted by my phone alarm. I'm going to turn that off. Yeah. You know what? That kind of killed the mood a bit, didn't it? Look, you all get the point I'm trying to make, though. Only the World is supposed to be prestigious, and we are supposed to be trying to separate the very best players from just the great players. That's kind of the point of it. And now I think we're reaching a point where we really do that. So while I don't agree with a lot of Pokemon's decisions, and while my wallet is going to hate me for the remainder of this season, that's how it's going to be. And that's what we're going to have to work with. And as a wise man once said, get good. So, this has been Joe from Woopercast. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back every Thursday evening on YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud. Cool note, actually, is that we now have changed our YouTube URL. So, once I passed 100 subscribers, I was able to basically just make it so it's youtube.com/Woopercast, which is really cool because I don't have to keep directing people to youtube.com/channel/random string of letters and numbers, because that's a little less accessible. So, hey, if anyone wants to rep the channel a bit, you can just... it's youtube.com/Woopercast now. It's a lot easier to get to, which I am very happy about. Also want to note league challenges and stuff like that, and filming stuff in real life. I want to get more into that. I want to do that more often. I have connections with cameras. I should probably just invest in one myself. I'm fully aware of this. I'm not going to film the League Challenge coming up this weekend because I don't think the venue actually has the space for it, but in future it's definitely something I want to look into a bit more. Sort of expand what I can do with the channel, and hey, watching real life games can sometimes be more fun than PTCGO, because we don't have glitches in real life. And Ninja Boy isn't banned in real life. Plenty of advantages to playing with actual cards. Anyway, this has been Joe from Woopercast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.